Hello everyone, and welcome to the bonus episode of Dark Souls Remastered, where we have now beaten Gwyn, Lord of Cinder, and what we are doing at the moment is we are just chilling out in our little cell here. We're going to release ourselves with the dungeon cell key that was given to us by our lovely friend Oscar of Astora. I'm genuinely curious about what talking to him is going to do in New Game Plus, because we're supposed to answer a question for him, and then he gives us the Estus flask. I don't know. At this point in the game, I really want to take off the Ring of Favor and Protection because we've had this on for a long time now. It takes our load up 21, which ain't bad. We lose like 200 health, we lose 20 stamina. Like it's a goddamn good ring. It's hard to take off, but I want to be able to like play around with other rings. I'll just have to see how I go. But this is not a beginning of a new Let's Play where I'm going to play the whole game in New Game Plus. I would like to play this one just on my own. I want to just be able to sit in front of my TV instead of at my desk, and I want to just experience the game and then take my time and chill out, sort of thing. So that's kind of going to be the plan for New Game Plus. But I figured while we are here, it would be a missed opportunity for us to not at least have a look and see what the hell's going on here. We get to access the bottomless box and attune magic from here, which is very interesting. So we can still adjust things for New Game Plus. Got a whole bunch of stuff that we can play around with. I'm going to start putting stats into my intelligence, so I can wield the greatsword and start wielding catalyst and cast the sorceries that I like. Let's open up this door. Yep, man is chilling up there, while beneath us is the Stray Demon. So Asylum Demon, and beneath us is the Asylum Demon. And from my understanding, the bosses are stronger on a New Game Plus, but not that much stronger, you know. You want me to run through that door and run away? I say, get out of here. Asylum Demon wrecked. Dude, and we got the Demon's Great Hammer from it as well. There you go. I'll take it. 10,000 souls. Demon's Great Hammer. Let's have a look. Demon weapon built from the stone arch trees used by lesser demons at North Undead Asylum. This hammer is imbued with no special power, but can merrily beat foes to a pulp, providing you have the strength to wield it. 46 strength. I guess we can only drop down and do the Stray Demon on a replay, which does make sense. It does make sense. We need to get a key to like explore the rest of this and do all of this stuff. Let's level up. I cannot level up at this bonfire. That's fair enough. We will level up when we get to Firelink. Never mind. I need a key for this as well, don't I? Yeah. You can't just waltz out of here if you defeat the boss without running away. So let's do the... We're revisiting the asylum. Okay, so they even include the same situation, like the same items. Goodbye. Hand axe, because my character's a pyromancer. The whole axe and the cracked round shield deal. And there he is. There is our lovely friend Oscar of Astora, which we need to make this happen. We know that that's happening now. Hello!
Oh, you. You're no hollow. Thank goodness I'm done. I'll die. I wish to... You and I... Regrettably, but perhaps... There is an old saying in my family.
Oh.
In thine exodus from the und, when thou ringeth the bell of awakening. Well, now you know. Oh. Now I would hate to... And thank you.
It skips off the thing. It skips the second question that he asks. To, you know, give us the flasks. But I'm glad that he can die with hope in his heart. And that's by the way, there you go. I heard it. He's just died. There you go, he faded away. Crazy. Alright. Actually, hold on. Just need to open this door from the other side. Save myself some time. Okay. Do we not? So we don't keep any keys. Which is fair enough, that we wouldn't keep any keys. Does that mean I have a second pyromancy? I do. That means I've got a second pyromancy flame now. Does that mean I can dual wield pyromancy flames? I can dual wield. Yes! Two-handed pyromancy. I mean, you can two-hand it that way, but I can dual wield pyromancy. That's so funny. All right, give me back my spear. Concept of New Game Plus is just, it's so funny to me. Well, we're not going to need to drop down and kill the Asylum Demon. And we need to come back here later and do this one. And then we'll just pretend that there's a demon here for us to stab. Yeah! And then it opens up the ground and we go into a fight with the stray demon straight away. Use the big pilgrim's key. Nailed it. Now, apparently, someone pointed out in a comment, and I've missed my chance in my main playthrough. But around here somewhere is apparently another nest. And we can apparently trade items. Oh, nice. And apparently trade items to receive here, I think. Except there's a bunch of blood stains here, so... Why is there a blood stain? Oh. You dodged and fell off the floor, okay. Maybe you have to do it on a revisit, but apparently this is the nest. Maybe I'll have to do that in my own time, but yep, I'm aware of that now. And you can apparently trade for an item, which was actually a starting item instead of the master key, which probably should have been the one that I went for. Is the old witch's ring, which allows you to speak to Quilana's sister. She will say words, which I think is very cool.
Only in the ancient legends it is stated that one day an undead shall be chosen. To leave the undead asylum in pilgrimage to the land of the ancient lords.
Lordran. See, like, Lordran is like, I guess, the name of everything. But I was like confused for a moment that I was like, is the kiln of the first flame like the main part of Lordran, and then everything spans out from there. I don't know. In Lordran, level up and kindle and bonfires. Yo. And here we are again. The crestfallen warrior lives. I wonder if this time we can prevent him from going hollow. Chuck a point right into that one. We have to hold on to that Gwyn soul for a long time now with a greatsword, and then we can level it up with the giant. Amazing. And now we have 20 flasks because this bonfire is great. Hello.
Well, what do we have here? Let me guess. Fate, but there's no salvation. What there are ones up above in the undead church. The other is far, far below, in the ruins at the base of Blight Town. Ring them both. Not much to go. So, off you.
How silly is that? How silly is that? He literally goes, "Hey, one's up at the church. Why don't you go there? And the other one's far, far below." And me, my fucking punk ass, was like, "Cool, let's go to Blighttown." Always choosing the hard road, I see. You know. And then going down here and having a little lovely exploration of being like, "Oh, what's down here? I don't know. No idea. Face me, cowards." Now I can actually take him on properly. What rings do we have on? Let me put my covetous ring on. Wonderful. Because I want more souls. So yeah, I guess like every single item and stuff that I can get now is just gonna be the same as before. So wild to go back through a new game area with the abilities that you wish that you could have had at the beginning. It's it's so funny. We'll just go for the catacombs straight away, shall we? That's we'll just ignore our lovely friend, the crestfallen warrior, and say like, nah. We don't go to Blighttown or the undead church. We go for the catacombs straight away. I'm actually going to get wrecked here. Good thing I got 20 flasks and holy shit. Hey guys, never mind. I'm now bleeding. It's right, you can still get wrecked in the graveyard, even when you're over level 100. It happens to the best of us. I didn't die though, that's the important thing. What the fuck? Oh. Didn't know that that happens when you pick up an item and it doesn't let you, and then it just hovers as like a bag. So it won't let you pick up a second pair of binoculars. It'll stay there forever. Alright, catacombs. Catacombs is no joke. I didn't kindle every bonfire. So there is still a situation where some bonfires will just be kind of normal. Which is probably why going to the catacombs first is like the best idea. Because then I get to get the rite of kindling early. That's what we're rolling with here. A dramatically different new game experience where you're like, fucking catacombs with a divine weapon straight off the bat, where I can say Fuck you, Necromancer. With your skull lantern. Get out of here. You have been blessed. I wonder how much, did I kindle this bonfire at all? I don't think so. Oh, it's got a bit of a flame to it. Maybe. I don't know what kind of new game I will play, you know. I'm not entirely sure what New Game Plus looks like for me. Bye. But it involves getting the Rite of Kindling. And then, I don't know, maybe I'll just play the game out as normal. Except I'll use my, I can use my Master Key. Which you can, like, I shouldn't have gotten that item. I do agree. Because I could have just bought it from Dommel. Of Xena. Later on. And enjoyed getting, like, the old Witch's Ring. Let me kill this Necromancer. Get out of here. Bleeding. See, I'm like, part of me is like, oh yeah, use a divine weapon, stop them from respawning. But then I'm like, but it's so much weaker than what I'm using. May as well just wreck them with this. How do we get down to Pinwheel? Where even is that guy? This is me having to remember the directions, because we have to like flip some bridges, do some stuff. Yeah, because they're all spiky. Oh yeah, and then these start spiking as well. Yeah. It's absolutely wild to me what a first playthrough or a first like experience running through a location is like compared to when you actually know. When you actually know what you're doing. What the fuck? There's a person there. Who's that? Did I just forget that this is a person? I might have. Is this a person that we met? There's our bonfire. If only I had the Lord Vessel and the ability to warp. Or jump through that wall. Alright, now that we've done that, we go through here. I'm just going to stop you guys from coming back, please. You're bothering me. Take out that Necromancer. That fool! Alright, hold on. Let me... Oh god. Oh god. Yeah, I died. There you go. I was careless. I should have just dealt with that skeleton. New Game Plus, baby. It's just fun. It's just fun to run around at this point, just to be like, I actually know where I'm going. So we've obviously made acquaintance with our lovely friend Vamos, who you know, he holds no ill will against us for no, you know, last time when we were hanging out, and he was like, man, you really murdered me for my own hammer, huh? And that's sort of how that goes. This is just gonna be a classic situation of me trying to avoid the pinwheels again, and it probably is not going to go very well. I'm just going to run away instead of fighting them, because Pinwheel, sorry, not Pinwheel, we're literally going to go fight Pinwheel. The whatever the hell they're called, Wheelie McSkeletons, you know. pinwheel time. Cool music for pinwheel. Come on. Come on. Where are you? Where are you, pinwheel? There you are. What's up? What's up, pinwheel? Get out of here. Get out of here, pinwheel. By right of kindling, you may now kindle beyond the normal limit. We have obtained the Mask of the Child. I think we had the Mask of the Child before. I think we already had that one. Yep, we got the Mask of the Child a second time. There we go. Whatever Pinwheel was getting up to in here, we've now stopped. And now we're at the Tomb of the Giants, guys. Woo! Oh, guys. Look at that. Remember how long it took us to get to the Tomb of the Giants? And now we're just chilling out. Cool. Honestly, the rest of the things that I could just do in New Game Plus is literally just take on the same bosses as before. And like I said, I'm going to just do that in my own time. So what we are now going to do, however, is after a bit of a play around in New Game Plus, we are now going to do some lore reactions. I have a playlist by Vati Vidya, which is the Prepare to Cry, not remastered, but just like the Prepare to Cry series. I have the playlist. It looks like there's 18 videos. One of those videos, however, is a trailer. So we're gonna watch those, but they are shorter than I thought. They are. You know, they're all like sub 10 minutes, so it's like condensing the lore of particular characters. And obviously we were definitely going to have a look at what else Vati Vidya does when we catch up to speed on future Souls games, and we can learn about everything. So let's jump into some lore reactions now. Alright, here we are. We're going to be watching the Vati Vidya Prepare to Cry series. We will start with the trailer, and then we will make our way through the playlist. So let's get started.
We see the struggle of others unfold around us as they fight for the things important to them. There's a man who fights on behalf of his broken homeland. Another who fights to prevent his kingdom being broken. One man believes...
Oh, this is so cool.
Maybe this knowledge will give you the power to fix your mistake. With this power, you may have to do terrible things to many, to save the lives of many more.
He's like the player character cosplaying as all of the NPCs.
Powers have everything taken from them.
Amazing.
Perhaps if you give them something, then they'll give you something in return. Surely there's a reward for faithfully serving the gods of this land. Or perhaps you'll be cast aside to fade from memory. A fool who dared to believe in something greater, without ever knowing that your final acts could have changed fate.
Oscar.
Man is born from the dark, a soul that is kindled, flickers, dwindles and dies in the shadow of his gods. The human form is fragile, and death comes quickly, but the spirit is strong, and it clings to life like only a mortal can. So in a way, man was not designed to become undead. Fear of death is what lets us live. Take that away and humanity becomes harder to hold on to. Without humanity, you could become more hollow than man. Yet an undead who would die for something has nothing to fear, for death simply becomes a stepping stone to his goal. If you fall down 7 times, stand up 8. That's the cry of the undead. It's not a matter of life or death, it's about what breaks first, your will or the barriers in your way. Everyone has their own paths to face.
Have you seen my father? You wouldn't miss him. A suit of armor just like mine.
Friend, I have an idea. Really, I will rush those dire fiends. You can slip away in the confusion. Why?
Wow.
After all the searching, I still cannot find it. Was it all a lie? Have I done this all for nothing?
All of you, forgive me, for I have availed you nothing.
I'm finished. We're both on the brink, you see. End of story. You bloody fool. Regrettably, I have failed in my mission, but perhaps you can keep the torch lit. There is an old saying in my family. Thou who art undead art chosen. In thine exodus from the undead asylum, maketh pilgrimage to the land of ancient lords. When thou ringeth the bell of awakening, the fate of the undead thou shalt know. Well, now you know, and I can die with hope in my heart.
So do we fight for one man who fell? No. We fight for the many who fell before us, for the souls of nameless soldiers, warriors, and heroes.
Did you ring the second bell? That is incredible, I must say.
I cannot do it myself. I lack the strength and the bravery. But you...
Finally, the curse of the undead will be lifted, and I can die human. Please, save us all. Please.
Dude. That was absolutely incredible. That could have been a trailer for the game. Holy crap. I love the little drawings for the characters, but yeah, like him actually like being the cosplaying as all of the characters to do like all those the camera angles and everything. Ah, man. Sigma, I can't wait to get the story. Wow. And I think that what they used there in the Artorias segment was the cut voice lines, because he was supposed to have voice lines, is what I've been told. So that, goddamn, that is incredible. All right, I'm not sure on the particular order. I don't think we have to watch them in a particular order, because the playlist isn't really titled like that. But I'll have a look, and we'll move on to the next one. From what I can see here, the playlist is kind of like the trailer's in here, and then, you know, there's stuff down this way. It looks like it's kind of all over the place, so we'll just work through the playlist from here.
In the beginning.
Sorry, wait. From here.
Pinwheel the Necromancer, who stole the power of a Gravelord, a mother, a child, and a father, all fused into one form. His tale is one of guilt, regret, and a desperate desire to fix his mistakes. Death masks are mementos of the dead, representing the wearer before they passed away. Mask of the Father. This mask, belonging to the valiant father, represents great burden and equipment load. The father made a mistake, and he carries that burden with him. It's literally a constant weight upon him. Mask of the Child. This mask, belonging to the naive child, represents the limitless energy and stamina of youth. Mask of the Mother. This mask, belonging to the kindly mother, represents the life-giver and her vitality. A long time ago, something happened to this family, and they were brought together through necromancy. The father bears the weight of his wife and his child on his back, a family woven together to become Pinwheel. It seems as if, in another time long past, the human mother and child died tragically, and the father was overcome by grief. Without family, it is said that man is alone in the world. But he was valiant, and in his desperation to be reunited with his family, he took great risk to steal power from a Lord of Death, Nito. With this power he attempted necromancy, reviving the corpses of his wife and child. But something went wrong. In his desperation to be reunited with his family, his necromancy backfired, and the family became whole. A mother, child, and father, reunited in a physical, grotesque form. Pinwheel. In his current form, Pinwheel resides in a crypt, filled with his tireless efforts at necromancy and revival. The creature is still sane, and continues to devote itself to experimentation and research into necromancy. But why? Well, the corpses of the mother and child were restored, but at what cost? They live on as an abomination. The only thing Pinwheel has managed to do so far is split itself into various forms, which are dumped and discarded at the entrance to Nito's tomb. Assumedly, Pinwheel is trying to split itself into separate beings, so that the father, the mother, and the child can be properly restored as was originally intended. But nothing works. For some reason, his crypt is open when you meet him. Imagine how shocked he must be to see an intruder after all these years. Someone who would interfere with his attempt to make things right. Who knows how close he was to success? How close he was to fixing his mistake?
Dude, what the hell? Where does he get this information? I guess that must be put together by the 3 different pieces of like the masks if you read them all. And there's probably other stuff and maybe interviews or something like that. But holy crap. And the way that these are edited is so good. Like, he's telling a story with, like, just obviously in PC, like on probably a PC version, doing like the camera free, like doing like a console command to do a free camera movement, record everything, and show all these different like visual sequences. That is incredible. I now feel terrible, which is why it's called Prepare to Cry. God damn. Okay, Black Iron Tarkus. Let's get into the next one. Oh, and they knocked him off the platform.
We all remember the help Tarkus gave us that day. Tarkus was like us, someone trying to make it through the world to uncover the truth. The least we can do is follow in his footsteps and succeed where he failed. The Knights of Berenik are known for their heavy armor and weaponry. There is no nation that is physically stronger, but even among them there was Tarkus, a knight renowned for having strength great enough to sport a set of heavy black iron that was unique to him alone. Berenik was a land outside of Lordran, but it was not free from the curse of the undead. As the curse spread and society crumbled, countless knights became undead. But the knights had not lost their sanity yet. Throughout the neighboring lands a prophecy was spreading, an old saying from Astora that said this:
Thou who art undead art chosen, and thine exodus from the undead asylum maketh pilgrimage to the land of ancient lords. When thou ringeth the bell of awakening, the fate of the undead thou shalt know.
The fate of the undead. With nothing else to go on, the undead Knights of Berenik ventured to Lordran, which was told to be at the heart of the undead curse. They were right. The gods were partly responsible for the crumbling world. The light in Anor Londo is an illusion, and many gods have already abandoned the world of men. For the real light, the first flame, was fading. There was one path into Anor Londo, and that was through Sen's fortress. So the Knights of Berenik threw themselves at the deadly castle, trying to force their way through. And they were not the only ones. Within Sen's fortress we see the hollowed forms of both Knights of Berenik and Boulder, two nations that attempted to reach the land of the gods, desperate to discover the fate of the undead. Near the top of Sen's fortress there is an undead man who desperately tries to retain his sanity.
Remember, counts. Counts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Count.
He has seen all the heroes pass through Sen's fortress, never to return.
For a century they've tried and failed. The Night King Rendell, Black Iron Tarkus, and even Logan himself. You won't stand a chance, you'll be eaten alive. But go along if you wish, if only to deepen your despair.
They all failed. Every Knight of Berenik, every Boulder Knight, the Night King Rendell and Logan himself. Every one of them failed, except Tarkus. Tarkus conquers the fortress, leaving his hollowed brothers behind. He carves his summoning sign at the top of Sen's fortress, so his spirit will be able to aid anyone else who comes as far as he does. Time is convoluted in Lordran, and even if Tarkus is already dead, his spirit will remain to aid those who need help with the final step, even if those heroes exist in another dimension. For guarding the final step to Anor Londo is the Iron Golem. It is said that the soul of this construct was originally the bone of an everlasting dragon, and it has slain countless heroes seeking Anor Londo. For the sake of all those who came before him, Tarkus prevails. He becomes the first one to make it to Anor Londo. But the tragedy begins here, for when Tarkus arrives at Anor Londo he finds the path retracted before him. He must break into the palace by the only path available. Up a narrow ledge, through a window, and across the ceiling rafters protected by painting guardians. This operation runs counter to his skills. Encumbered by his armor and huge weaponry, Tarkus falls to his death on the rafters, and is dragged into a corner by the painting guardians. Because now the path is clear and Tarkus helped you there. For the sake of the fallen, we carry on.
And that's why we got his armor set there. That's why we got the armor set there. Because I was like, damn, we missed his summoning sign because we didn't summon Tarkus. Conquering Sin's fortress, making it to Anor Londo, and falling off some goddamn roof beams to your death. Goddamn. And then Painting Guardians were like, stick him in the corner. Here we go. Solaire and the sun.
It's not easy to find the sun in Lordran, and when you do see it, who's to say it's real? The age of fire is ending, and the world is already dark. Logan believes that there are no gods, no transcendence, only power. To become a god is simply to find that power. The lords found their powers amongst the first flame and proclaimed themselves to be gods. But as the flame fades, the lords must rely on illusions instead of power, until new fuel for the flame is found. As Gwyn burns in his tomb, Gwyndolin and Frampt search desperately for someone to replace him, to maintain their age of light a little longer. Solaire reminds me of the legend of Icarus. Icarus is granted wings and uses them to chase the sun, but he flies too close and falls to his death. Solaire has limitless ambition and strives to obtain the sun as well, but he too runs the risk of flying too close. It's hard to find the sun in Lordran, and the world is already dark. Perhaps Solaire is looking for a new light. There is a prophecy that comes from Solaire's homeland in Astora, a prophecy that sheds light on Solaire's quest.
There is an old saying in my family, "Thou who art undead art chosen. In thine exodus from the undead asylum maketh pilgrimage to the land of ancient lords. When thou ringest the bell of awakening, the fate of the undead thou shalt know."
To fulfill the prophecy, you must be two things. You must be undead, and you must escape the asylum. Oscar became undead, and travelled to the asylum to become a part of the prophecy. You carry out his legacy. But Oscar was not the only one trying to become a part of the prophecy. Solaire also escaped the asylum.
The way I see it, our fates appear to be intertwined. Both undead, both imprisoned in the asylum, and now we both end up here, in a land brimming with hollows. Could that really be mere chance? I hardly think so. I became undead to pursue this.
Solaire's quest meant so much that he chose to become undead to fit the prophecy. So if you believe that you are the chosen undead, then you and Solaire are on the same path, and your meeting was not chance, but fate. You can choose to believe that everything in your past led you here. But who was Solaire before he became undead and met you? Gwyn, Lord of Sunlight, had 3 children. One was named Guinevere, who fled her father and Anor Londo as the flame continued to fade. Another was Gwyndolin, born of the moon and raised as a daughter. Master of illusion, he maintains power in Anor Londo through an illusion of his sister and a fake son. The identity of the 3rd child is a mystery. All we know is that he was a god of war, but his foolishness led to the loss of something invaluable, and he had his god status rescinded. Statues were destroyed, and there are places where it is clear that there have been obvious efforts to remove all trace of him ever existing. But in a land far from Anor Londo, near an altar dedicated to sunlight, there is one statue that remains. It's the statue of a woman holding a small child, a child wielding a sunlight straight-sword. The same sword as Solaire. Solaire never talks of the past, only of the future, only of finding his son. If he is the son of Gwyn, then he has fallen out of his father's graces. But who is Gwyn to take his powers away? Solaire would have lost his status, and nothing more. Even though his equipment has no special powers, he travels through Lordran with little trouble, reaching Anor Londo, Demon's ruins and Lost Islith before you. It is said that the god of war still watches over his warriors. Solaire crosses between worlds to help you take down your foes. In the end, it doesn't matter if Solaire is the son of Gwyn. To the world, he's simply a friendly man who helps his comrades when they are in need. He is a man who gave everything he had to find something, despite looking like a fool. But after years of searching, his hope turns to despair. And his despair turns to madness.
No.
Finally, I have found it. I have. My very own son. I am the son. I've done it. I have. Yes, I did. I did. Oh. It's over. My son. It's setting. It's dark. So dark.
Solaire, a man of indomitable will, loses his mind to a creature that looks like the sun, and dies to your blade. Or does he?
Or does he?
The run is convoluted, and one undead may take a different path. A path that lets Solaire persist a little longer.
So this is what you can do.
Takes you both to the kiln of the first flame.
Wow.
Where Solaire can fight for his son.
This is incredible having him with you. Keep throwing those spears, buddy. You'll get him. Ooh! You can parry... You can parry Gwyn. Holy fuck. Dude, what if that... Dude, check this tag team out. Dude, what if Solaire's the son of Gwyn, the forgotten son? Holy shit. Oops. Fuck. Come on, Solaire, you can do it, buddy. Kill your maybe father. There we go, he's gone.
With Gwyn defeated, Solaire can light a flame of his own and return sunlight to the world. For the fire within Solaire will burn the brightest of all.
And that'll make Solaire the chosen undead. Holy shit, man. So, like, Frampt and Gwendolyn were just seeking a replacement to keep the light going for a bit longer. So we were just like, hey, can you replace this guy? Can you replace Gwen, because Gwen's kind of, you know, he's losing it. So we needs a nice young chosen undead to replace him instead, which is interesting. All right, we will now go into Oscar, the Fatalist.
Those who are afflicted with the dark sign live forever, locked in a constant state of death and revival. But immortality isn't seen as a blessing here. It's labelled a curse, and with good reason. Death is replaced by a form of insanity, a state where humanity is lost and the being becomes hollow. They no longer have the will to retain their humanity, to maintain their body or their mind. Hollowing is a constant process, but a point of no return is reached, where humanity cannot be restored. We meet Oscar of Astora just before he reaches that point of no return.
I can feel it coming.
It's so easy to forget Oscar's role, but meeting him is arguably the most important thing that happens to you. Without him, you would still be locked away. He goes to the trouble of finding a key to your cell. But why? Well, there's a reason. Thou who art undead art chosen. In thine exodus from the undead asylum, maketh pilgrimage to the land of ancient lords. When thou ringeth the bell of awakening, the fate of the undead thou shalt know.
We're going to hear that quote a lot.
Passed down through Oscar's family, but it's more than just a saying, it's clearly a prophecy. It says that the undead who escapes the asylum to the land of ancient lords will learn the fate of the undead, something humanity is desperate to know. This prophecy is why Oscar is in the asylum, because if he can leave the asylum, then perhaps he'll be included in the prophecy, and if he's a part of the prophecy, then he may become the one who is supposed to learn the fate of the undead. But he can't be sure that it's him. There are hundreds of other undead locked away in the asylum. So, while he's on the roof, he attempts to let undead out of their cells, hoping to kickstart the prophecy. But there's something else on the roof. The asylum demon guards the prison. Have you ever wondered why you find Oscar dying in a closed cell? There's only one entrance, and that's a hole in the roof. He was smashed into this room by the asylum demon.
You are a godsend to come at this moment. I wish to ask something of you.
Oscar tells you the prophecy and hollows with the knowledge that you might be the fated undead to leave the asylum. And he's right, you are. But what if Oscar had lived? What if you had both left the asylum together?
Please, come quickly. It is your fate.
A pleasure to meet you. Sage Frampt has spoken to me about you. I am Oscar of Astora. I wish to thank you for ringing the bell of awakening. I am preparing to leave. I will follow Sage Frampt's instructions, and will seek Anor Londo by way of Sen's fortress. May we each fulfill our respective purposes. I hope that we meet again somewhere. One day.
If you believe the prophecy, it means that either yourself or Oscar could be the chosen undead. Both of you meet the requirements. Both of you left the asylum. But as time passes, it becomes more clear that you are the chosen undead, not Oscar. You're the one who rang the bells, and you're the one who meets the prophecy more strongly.
I cannot just stay here. I must find my own purpose.
Every undead chases a purpose to keep themselves from hollowing. For Oscar, it's different. He's searching for a purpose that's worthy of him, and this obsession is what will spell his tragic end.
Well, how long has it been? Glad to see you safe, but be careful. You must be the same as I, in search of the grave of Sir Artorius. This forest is the territory of a fierce band of thieves. They assault any and all who seek the graves. What if we were to join forces? How about that? If we work together, we may escape the bandits. Does that appeal to you? Very well. Let us keep our wits about us. One can always do with another pair of eyes. Things appear to have settled. I was right to partner with you. I will have a short rest here. Feel free to go on ahead.
While both of you make it through the world, you triumph before Oscar, and succeed where it matters. And finally, you make it to the kiln of the first flame, to either replace a dying god, or to finish him off.
Yeah, he's hollow.
You choose. Oscar chooses the opposite. Driven by a need to be important, he opposes either choice you make. Whether you finish off the dying god, or leave the first flame to die.
So it was you.
I had a feeling. I shall destroy you, as fate has commanded me. Foolish pawn of Darkstalker Karth, and fiendish Dark Lord.
Perhaps you choose to replace this dying god and rekindle the Age of Fire.
I have waited for thee, foolish slave of the gods, and pawn of Framt. I will kill you, and become the true Dark Lord.
What the fuck? How the hell do we get Oscar to survive? Holy shit.
Whichever path you choose, Oscar opposes you in his desperation to be included in fate. A search for purpose is all that he has.
Dude, it's possible for Oscar to survive. Could that just be like, maybe if you just ignore him? No, but he needs to give you the keys to get out. How can Oscar live and give you all of that dialogue at all those different points, and then Oscar chooses the opposite? So someone in the comments mentioned that there are multiple, like 2 endings, I think, when I was playing, which I tried to ignore because I didn't want to know that. So it's interesting that I believe there is Darkstalker Karth, and Karth is like the other serpent. So I guess that ties into the 2 endings based on that information there. So you can actually not rekindle the flame, you can leave. Which is very interesting information. And then Oscar is like, I want to be included, guys, so I'm going to choose the opposite, which is very, very, very interesting. So Oscar can survive and then have his own story. That's awesome. Shiva the Traitor is an interesting one, because in our playthrough we were the traitor. Let's get some Dark Souls lore for Shiva.
The Makoto chooses its owner, but he who harbors self-delusions should at once be warned. The Makoto is no sword for the faint of heart.
Many stories have been told about a cursed weapon, forged for a giant in a distant land. Some call it the Makoto, a cursed katana, the Chaos Blade. It is said that where the blade meets skin, it will tear apart into a wound that will never heal. It is a cursed weapon that devours the wielder's life energy, eroding the wielder along with his enemies. Yet despite this, warriors continue to search for the treasured blade, hoping for it to simply pass down through their hands, hoping they can hold on to it longer than the one who came before them.
Supercut of killing the forest hunters. I love how all of this is edited and put together.
Is it not so that thou art new? Thou fared well to find me. I'm Alvina of the Darkroot.
This is so cool.
I command a clan of hunters who track down defilers of the forest graves. What dost thou say? Wilt thou not join us? Oh, yes, I believe we would suit thee well.
The forest hunters protect the graves of the forest. We follow Alvina without question, and reap rewards from the grave robbers who trespass. Hunt and kill as you like. Whoever's fastest gets the prey.
So what does this have to do with Shiva?
I've heard all about you. I'm Shiva of the East, captain of the brigade. Ah, did you notice that one? Sharp eyes? He is one of the clan from the East, like myself. Always slinking in the shadows. But he is a tough one. You will see what I mean. Don't worry. It's a good old time, isn't it? Great to have you with us. Good hunting to you.
The hunters are like a brotherhood, except when it comes to the kill. There are little in the way of rules, and the hunters fight for their own reward.
Perchance hast thou met Shiva?
Ooh.
A lad cometh from the far east, strong of arm, now a clan leader of ours. And yet, still I feel that boy hides something, of that I am certain. Small fear that he will use us badly. Yet on guard we must stay.
Most do not stay long within the forest. There are worse things in Lordran than a few grave robbers, and Alvina knows this. However, once you leave the Forest Covenant, you mustn't return. You gain some skill in the forest, and it helps defend yourself against the hostility of the world, but an adventurer needs a good weapon most of all, since steel can never betray you.
Hello again. Strange to meet away from the clan and the forest. But while you are here, how about some equipment? I love collecting these things, but I can only keep so many. And you know, you are a friend. I'll sell them cheap. Have you heard of Chaos Blade? The legendary sword of the ancient undead master Makoto. Its blade a swirling vortex. I heard it's somewhere around here, but I can't find it. It's all I could ever wish for. I'll do anything to have it.
I feel as though the blade was originally supposed to be found past Blighttown, hidden somewhere out of man's destructive reach, deep within Izalith, untouched by the demons that spawned when the first flame was replicated. The chosen undead finds the Chaos Blade and leaves Blighttown, but you do not go unnoticed.
Why, look at you. Just wait, will you? Your sword. Is it not the Chaos Blade? I've been searching for her for ages. I beg of you, and I promise repay you. Will you give the sword to me? Quite all right. I cannot blame you. The blade is yours, after all. So, I will do the honorable thing and kill you for it. Don't you run away! Be still, you rat! Taste my blade! Taste it, you devil! What a wonderful specimen. Like slicing through butter. Who'd have thought I'd be the traitor? Sometimes you never know, do you? Don't you ever come round again.
The Black Eye Orb is a tool of revenge. It leads you to the Painted World, where Shiva hides with his prize.
Whoa. What
Have
the
a look
fuck?
at my sword, for it's the last thing you'll see.
Dude is a fucking psychopath.
Red, the color of blood.
What the fuck?
After defeating Shiva, the blade is yours once again. But perhaps it's better that you leave it here, in a place created for creatures and things that have no real place in the outside world, lest it be discovered again.
Dude, what the hell? This is like, I love how extensive this is. Like, stuff that you would just like never know would even be possible to exist. Like, Shiva just doesn't just hang around. He's got his whole little storyline there, wholly dependent on if you come across him again and if you pick up a particular sword, and he betrays you for it. And then it doesn't end there. If he kills you, you then go to the Painted World to finish him off. Like, that is just like beautiful. On to the next video, which is a two-parter, Gwyn in the First Flame and Gwyn in the Dark.
If there's one thing to remember, it's this. Fire fades, and it's inevitable and natural for the world to return to dark. The future is dark, but it was not always this way. Let's go back to where there was a flame. The hero has made it to the kiln, where the first flame was found, thrived, faded, and was kindled again. The hero descends to kill the god who kindled that flame. This god is a shell now, a husk. He's lost his kingdom, his knights, his wife, children, and friends. But even with nothing left, he sacrificed himself to keep the dark at bay. This is the story of a man who fought against the inevitable. In the beginning, there were two planes of existence. There was the above and the below. Above was grey, with dragons who had existed forever. Nothing changed, nothing progressed, and nothing lived or died. I think of the below as dark, although it probably was nothing of the sort. How can darkness exist without light? But that was about to change, because when the flame came, it created disparity. Now there was light and dark, and the light illuminated the creatures who were hiding. These creatures emerged to inspect the flame, and these were the ones who would become known as giants. For within the flame was great power, and 4 giants claimed this power. They claimed it, and it shaped them. Nito came to embody death. The Witch of Izalith represented life. Lord Gwyn stood for the light, and the pygmy kept his dark soul a secret. Gwyn decreed that the flame was more powerful than the grey existence up above, and the giants declared war on the dragons to claim the surface. Alas, the dragons were immortal, and many knights of Gwyn fell, but there was one dragon who betrayed his own. Seath the Scaleless, born without the stone scales of immortality, told the dragon's weakness to Gwyn. The stone scales were the secret to their immortality, and the lightning was their weakness. So Gwyn and his knights fashioned bolts of lightning to peel apart their stone scales. Nito unleashed disease on their exposed flesh, and the Witch of Izalith and her followers used fire sorceries to burn their homes, the arch trees, to ash. And the dragons were no more. And so, the Age of Fire was born, and the giants began their own story. But since this is a story about light, it is also a story about dark. For it is inevitable that one day the flame will fade, and only dark will remain. Seath was granted 3 rewards. He received a piece of Gwyn's Lord Soul, a dukedom in Gwyn's kingdom, and his own research facility to discover immortality, something he never would have had with the dragons around. The Age of Fire had changed the shape of the world. Gwyn's kingdom grew during the Age of Fire, and the lands outside assumedly looked to Lordran as their capital city. Anor Londo was built close to the sun, and eventually smaller towns and cities grew to surround it. The giants became the royalty and the gods, and humanity spread, worshipping those more powerful than them. Gwyn himself had a wife whose name is not known, and by her he had 3 children. His firstborn was the god of war, who formed the Warriors of Sunlight. However, he lost the Annals, which were historical records. Gwyn decreed that his son would share the same fate, and all record of the firstborn was stripped from the land. Gwyn's second-born, Guinevere, was well loved, with her own statues and covenant, the Princess Guard. The third of birth was Gwyndolin, who was born frail and deformed. He was raised as a daughter since he was proficient at moonlight magic, which is considered a female trait. His existence was hidden, and his covenant, the Blade of the Dark Moons, hunt down sinners and protect the illusion of power in Anor Londo. For hundreds of years the Lords prospered, but everything ends. Locked away in his archives, Seath is desperately searching for the secret to immortality. The 6-eyed channelers read for him and search the world for test subjects.
Oh.
These test subjects are locked away in crystal golems for transportation back to the archives, where they become the subject of his experiments. At the base of the prison, there are Pasakas, twisted monsters created from captured maidens. If you listen carefully, you can hear them crying.
I accidentally murdered them.
At some point, the knowledge in the archives sends Seath mad. It's impossible to know whether he was insane before or after his experiments on the maidens, but one way or another, Gwyn turns a blind eye to the happenings in the archives. Perhaps it was this that led to the rebellion against the gods. In the war against the dragons, Lord Gwyn had a friend and compatriot named Havel the Rock, who was the sworn enemy of magic and Seath the Scaleless. After the war, Gwyn granted Seath dukedom and a part of his own soul. Perhaps Havel was bitter at Gwyn's preference for Seath, since he started to collect items capable of killing the gods. Hidden in his basement in Anor Londo, there is an occult club. Items of the occult can kill the gods and are rightly feared. Havel was also a bishop of the church, who knew the whereabouts of the Dark Ember. Lastly, the effigy shield states that there was once an ill-fated plot to destroy the gods. Ill-fated because the attempt failed. Among the royalty, there are rumours of a hero locked away in a stone cell by a dear friend. They say he was locked away for his own good, which led many to believe that the man inside had gone hollow. Havel helped Gwyn win his throne, but met with the fate of the undead and was kept in a cell so he could not harm others. That's what they would have you believe. But what if Gwyn learnt of Havel's plan to kill the gods? Perhaps Havel was not hollow when he was locked away. Perhaps he was locked away for the good of the realm, and left to hollow in the middle of an area overrun by hollows. Gwyn would have locked his friend away for the greater good, but was it the right thing to do? This marks the peak of the Age of Fire, and the darkness is looming. Soon Gwyn will need all the friends he can get.
And continues in part 2. This is very, very revealing information. I am literally obsessed. And it's so good to there's no way that you could get this from just one playthrough, especially a first playthrough of the game. So to have this stuff come after, while it's still fresh, is very effective.
Soon, I will be consumed by them, by the dark.
The dark is in every human.
Thou art strong, human. Surely thine kind are more than pure dark.
But do humans have light and dark within them? Even in his last moments, Artorius thought so.
I beg of the spread of the abyss. It must be stopped.
The furtive pygmy was the first human. It claimed the dark soul and waited for the fire to subside. For while the other souls grew weaker, the dark soul grew stronger. The Lord Souls of light and dark seemed to be in counterbalance to one another. While Gwyn fathered the Age of Fire and set up his kingdom, the pygmy shattered the dark soul and fathered humanity. This mysterious black sprite was the powerful life force of humans, driving them to love, hate, create, and destroy. The most pure-hearted humans were able to create more humanity within themselves. The dark soul is unique in that it can grow and spread through humans. By the time the furtive pygmy was killed, it was already too late. The dark soul had already been split, and it continued to split and grow like a disease.
Wow.
And as the darkness grew, the flames did fade, and Gwyn's kingdom began to fall. With the fading flame came the rising dark, and those who would see it grow stronger. The dragons and the giants were not the only things in the Age of Ancients. From the stone dragons came drakes, hydras, and primordial serpents. You have to wonder at how much influence the serpents have had, because all throughout the ages, the serpents have always achieved their desires at the expense of others. We know of one serpent, Karth, who hides in the shadows to see the shadows grow. It was the manipulations of such a serpent that led to an upturned grave, and the doom of Ulasil.
Believe it or not, Ulasil has brought the abyss upon itself, fooled by that toothy serpent. They upturned the grave of primeval man and incited his ornery wrong. What could they have been thinking?
Manus, the father of the abyss, primeval human and once the furtive pygmy, unleashed the wrath of the dark.
Once the furtive pygmy?
And transforming its denizens into monsters.
Knight Artorius came to stop this, but such a hero has nary a murmur of dark. Without doubt he will be swallowed by the abyss.
Manus is the furtive pygmy and was laid to rest in Ulasil, hence the little human-shaped grave. Also the father of humanity. Ooh. Wow. Which is why there's so much humanity around. There's so much humanity lore centered around Ulasil. So that makes so much sense. So that's what happened to furtive pygmy. Responsible for humanity.
Overcome by its utter blackness, indeed, the abyss may be unstoppable.
And Artorias was slain, but a hero from a time distant yet near killed the primeval human in his name and ended its rampage. But Karth simply moved on to his next target. Gwyn split his own soul and handed it to the 4 kings who ruled over New Londo. It was a reward for their foresight, but the kings only wanted more power.
Long ago, the 4 kings were powerful men. Only their hearts were weak. When an evil serpent dangled the art of life drain before them, they were unable to resist and became pawns of evil.
Gwyn had already seen what happened in Ulasil. The spread of the abyss had to be contained wherever it was found. He flooded New Londo in an attempt to seal the darkness and the kings. It was around this time that the other gods started to panic. The goddesses Fina and Velka had already been forcibly exiled by Seath, and Gwyn's own daughter Guinevere was to follow. She fled with the flame god, Flann, and abandoned her father. Meanwhile, the Witch of Izalith was working on a plan. She was attempting to duplicate the first flame using her own magic and her Lord's soul. Perhaps this could fight off the gathering dark. But this plan did not work. In fact, it backfired, engulfing the witch, her sisters, and the city of Izalith. Her soul of life became twisted, creating malformed, demonic, chaotic life. And the world saw its first demons. The Silver Knights of Gwyn still remained from the war against the dragons, and they were ordered to fight against the Chaos Demons. Despite the bravery of the knights, they were repelled by the bed of chaos. The Silver Knights retreated to Gwyn with armor blackened and charred from their journey to Izalith. They had failed. Gwyn's downfall is absolute. He's lost his kingdom, his knights, his wife, children, and friends. For the stronger the light, the thicker the shadows fall. There are no happy endings in Lordran. Even if you do no wrong, tragedy finds you.
Yeah.
Maybe you're searching for the light in a dark place. Maybe you're fighting to keep your sister alive. Whether you're adventuring for the sake of adventure, or risking your life for your lord, it will do no good. But despite futility, we do these things anyway. By fighting against the inevitable, we carve meaning from meaninglessness. Gwyn travels to the kiln with his remaining knights, and sacrifices himself as fuel for the first flame, just so it can burn a little longer for the living. The dark will eventually overcome the fading flame, but not without a fight. In the beginning, there was no life or death.
And then goes straight into Nito. Holy crap, man! Dark Souls is no happy endings for anyone. It is completely tragic. Does anyone get a happy ending? Does anyone get a happy ending? That's why I was like, the end of the game is not triumphant. It's not victorious. It's sad. Which is insane. Nito is up next.
In the beginning, there was no life or death, no light or dark. There was, however, the above and the below. Above, where the everlasting dragons ruled, and below, where there were humanoid beings that would one day become humans, giants, and lords. Below, fire was born, and some beings found power within these flames and took it for themselves. Gwyn could be called a Lord of Light, Nito a Lord of Death, and the Witch of Izalith a Lord of Life. These souls were the disparity. They represented black and white, where everything else was grey before. And so they cast away the grey, and started an age of light and dark, life and death. There is one that I haven't mentioned, who came after the other 3 lords. The furtive pygmy found the dark soul within the flames, and fathered humanity. The pygmy was content to wait, splitting and spreading his soul while the other lords changed the world. There are dynamics that exist between the souls. You can't have one without the other. Gwyn's Age of Fire is built around the first flame, which was linked to bonfires and spread throughout the world. However, eventually, even this fire began to fade. It was realized that humanity, the little black sprite in every human, could feed the fire, so Gwyn commanded his children to shepherd the humans. Maybe there's a reason the Dark Soul was found after the first 3. Maybe it was the fuel. You already know what happens next. The grey dragons were cast aside, and Gwyn began an age of fire. When the flame started to fade, the Witch of Izalith attempted to create a new flame with her life soul, but it spiraled out of control and demons were created. Then out of nowhere, a curse appeared, a kind of disease that links humans to the bonfires, causing some to become undying. Instead of death, there is hollowing, and to reverse the hollowing, one has to offer humanity to the flames. Convenient, isn't it? Some even whisper that the curse was designed by the Lords, to keep the humanity of the undead linked to the bonfires. The more humanity they donate, the greater the fire grows. And the undead are drawn to the flame, fated to be consumed over and over again until only a hollow husk is left. For the purpose of shepherding the humans, the Church, the Way of White, was formed. An influential covenant devoted to serving the gods, they condemn the undead as a plague. The cleric knights of Lloyd are praised for their undead hunts, using Lloyd's talismans to prevent the undead from recovering, allowing the knights to kill with impunity. Afraid of the threat that the Dark Souls pose, Gwyn effectively sets humanity against itself. Undead are caught and shipped to the asylum to await the end of the world. So what happens when a member of the Church becomes an accursed undead? When this happens, it isn't seen as a curse. It couldn't be. How could such a thing happen to a member of the Church? No, becoming an undead Way of White member means you are blessed. It means you must devote yourself to a pilgrimage in service of the Way of White, something that gets you out of the Church, but still serves the Church's purpose. Undead clerics are given a quest for kindling, the art of feeding bonfires with humanity. Is there humanity hidden within the catacombs? Maybe, but it's much more likely that they are searching for a secret rite of kindling, a method of feeding bonfires with humanity that was stolen from an ally of Gwyn. And this brings us to Nito, who was rumoured to hold the rite of kindling after it was stolen by Pinwheel.
Yeah.
Nito is a strange entity. Unlike the other lords, he seems to only have one motive. Above all else, we see his desire to spread death. He doesn't concern himself with the politics of the outside world, except for once when he brought death to the undying. The everlasting dragons had their stone scales ripped apart by Gwyn, and Nito delivered the death blow. But why did he do this? Well, disparity is in Nito's best interests, because if life exists, so too must death. After the successful alliance with Gwyn, Nito gained dominion over the dead and the catacombs, with a vast army of dead servants defending his tomb, and another army of Gravelord servants actively spreading death to others through the eyes of death. Nito seems content to wait in the darkest depths of the catacombs, slowly growing his army of the dead. Like all the other Lord Souls, his power is distributed among his servants. But is there nothing more to Nito? The first undead cleric was Leroy. He was given a glorified set of armor and the most powerful relics the Church possessed.
Leroy Jenkins.
In a grand gesture, he was sent into the catacombs to retrieve the kindling. You fight with him to kill Pinwheel, and the mission is successful. You retrieve the rite from the catacombs which was stolen from Nito. But there's more. Attempt to kill Nito, and Leroy will defend him. Leroy will fight against you. Assume then that Nito is important to the Way of White. Perhaps his purpose of spreading death is what Gwyn wants. It makes sense. Spread death, and the undead have to burn humanity to feed the bonfires and keep themselves human. Feed the bonfires, and Gwyn's Age of Fire can last a little longer. The real tragedy here is the deceit. We are all in the dark. Humanity has no idea what caused the undead curse, but it's spreading. Entire lands are becoming infected with the mysterious dark sign, which keeps undead reliant on the bonfires, unable to die. No one knows where it originated, no one knows who created it, or if there is even a who behind it. All we do know is that you could be a regular human before you turned undead. You'd be unable to die, but unable to stop deteriorating, becoming more and more hollow with every death.
What a good transition.
Suddenly, you're a threat to those around you. The Way of White busies themselves with purging the undead from the world, but they don't know if the curse is a threat, they don't know how it came about, or if they're just being sent into the catacombs to die. And you're being led by serpents who tell you different things, encouraged to kill all of the lords in your path regardless of whether they're in your way, just so you can get enough souls to satiate the Lord Vessel. in the hope that killing Gwyn will give you answers. There are no answers, yet. At the core of everything is the curse.
The focus of the first game is humanity. Oh, I don't want to... Okay. The focus of the second is curse. Well, Dark Souls 2, the focus of the second will be a curse. Interesting. That's right. This is before the second one came out, so this is fine. There you go. All right, that was Nito. So what we have next is the Legend of Artorias the Abyss Walker. I think I'm going to love these next two the most.
After the advent of fire, 3 powerful souls were claimed by those who came from the dark. The first was claimed by Nito, first of the dead. The second went to the witch who fell to the flame. And the last went to Gwyn, Lord of Sunlight. But there was a 4th soul, discovered afterward and hidden in the Lords, the Dark Soul. And so, the first human was furtive, and kept his soul secret. Lord Gwyn used his Lord Soul to usher in an age of fire and light, appointing 4 trusted knights to defend the realm. There was Dragonslayer Ornstein, captain of the guard, Hawkeye Goth, unmatched with a great bow, Kiaran the assassin, who laid waste to Gwyn's enemies, and Artorias, the Abyss Walker. But in time, the flame began to fade. The age of the Lords was ending, and the dark age of men was to begin.
The 4 kings were powerful men, only their hearts were weak. When an evil serpent dangled the art of life drain before them, they were unable to resist and became pawns of evil.
The serpent in question was Darkstalker Karth, who tempted the kings with the ability to drain humanity as a reward for their service. This is the art of life drain. Karth's ultimate goal seems to be to return all humanity to the Abyss, as every fragment of humanity is a piece of the mighty Dark Soul. The Knights of New Londo were transformed into Dark Wraiths, beings that plagued the citizens of the city for humanity so that it may be returned to the Abyss.
The Dark Wraiths are the enemies of man and any living thing that has a soul. They were born in New Londo, and that is where they perished. The entire city was sacrificed to contain them, for that is how great a threat they were.
As the first flame continues to fade, and with the darkness looming, the deities of Anor Londo begin to leave the doomed kingdom. Meanwhile, the Abyss breaks out again, this time in Ulasil. With time running out, Lord Gwyn's final command is for Artorias to halt the inevitable spread of the Abyss, and to rescue Princess Dusk. An old man afraid of the dark, Lord Gwyn kindles the first flame with his own soul, artificially extending his age of fire. And so, hundreds of years before the birth of the chosen undead, Knight Artorias and Sif meet the threat building in Ulasil. However, they do not succeed.
Knight Artorias came to stop this, but such a hero has nary a murmur of dark. Without doubt he will be swallowed by the Abyss, overcome by its utter blackness. Indeed, the Abyss may be unstoppable.
This may strike thine ear as somewhat peculiar, but long ago, in my homeland of Ulasil, I was beset by a creature from the Abyss. I would have perished then, were it not for the great knight Artorias. In truth, I saw little of what transpired, for mine senses were already fled, but even still, There was something about Artorias, a certain balance of the humors that quite perfectly fits your semblance. Heavens, could it be that?
Dude, just seeing just actually being able to see that his arm's busted. That he's just literally fighting with one hand.
The final act of Artorias was to protect his companion. He shielded Sif with the power of his great shield, for his arm was broken and he could no longer bear the burden. Soon after, the spread of the abyss was halted and the deeds of a human were accredited to Artorias, the hero who gave his life to repel the abyss. Within this glimpse of the abyss lies a tormented soul, a savior turned demon, hidden from the eyes of his lord and comrades. As if only for his soul to find peace at long last, a warrior came, a hero of a time long distant yet near. The warrior fought against Artorias, severing his bonds with the darkness so that his honor may remain intact. Living with the knowledge that his master saved him with his last uncorrupted breath, watching him become a husk, only capable of tormented screams. He keeps the ring of Artorias, knowing that many will try to traverse the abyss and defends his master's grave. Imagine what he is feeling when you come to him years later for the Abyss Walker ring that debilitated his friend. He is trying to protect you.
Wow.
One of you will have to die, because Sif will not give you the covenant of Artorias willingly.
Oh, man.
Maybe in death, he can find his friend Artorias again.
Oh, that's the alternate cutscene. Wow. That's sad. Oh. Wow. Holy fuck, man, that is so cool. Wow. That alternate cutscene, like that knowing look, the change of emotion in Sif, and Sif's like, I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it. Damn. That is a great alternate cutscene. Instead of Sif just like not recognizing us the way that we did it. It's Sigmire time, baby. Let us know. What's going on with our favorite Onion Knight?
The gate, the old fortress. Was that your doing? Venturing is my life. I'm prepared for the worst.
Have you seen my father? You wouldn't miss him. Tell him that Zieglind is on her way. Oh, she'll just stay put and keep out of trouble.
Perish, foul creatures! We can overcome this together. Our fates do seem entwined, don't they? Perhaps this, too, is the will of Lord Gwyn. You seem to help me at every turn. This Knight of Katarina expresses his deepest gratitude. Now I have no regrets. I shall depart for my final adventure.
No.
May you be safe. You are a true hero, to be sure. Perhaps the time has come.
Dude. Fucking epic.
When an undead loses all hope, they begin to hollow. Siegmeyer is an adventurer who prides himself on his bravery. His ability to progress and explore is what keeps him from hollowing. The name Siegmeyer means victory. Success is at the core of who he is.
Venturing is my life. I'm prepared for the worst.
With good intentions, the chosen undead saves Siegmeyer time and time again. The man learns that he only has to wait for his problems to be solved.
I didn't see him in Sen's Fortress.
Helping Siegmeyer
I missed him.
take everything from him. And an undead who loses everything becomes hollow.
I've run flat up against a wall, or a gate, I should say. The thing just won't budge, no matter how long I wait. And oh, have I waited. This is quite a fix. We'll need another 3, no, maybe 5 bodies.
quite a fix indeed. By my knighthood, I'm ashamed to ask, but can you spare a few scraps of moss?
As you save Siegmeyer, you are draining his belief in himself. Every time you help him, he becomes more and more hollow. That is, until he decides to make a final stand. He sacrifices himself to repay his friend, but you take that victory from him as well.
Friend, I have an idea. A good one, really. I will rush those dire fiends, and you can slip away in the confusion. Please, friend. I owe you much more than this. By the honor of the Knights of Katarina, allow me to assist you. And now, I go. Don't be slow. Come on! Over here, you fiends! Perish, foul creatures! I am Siegmeyer of Katarina, and you shall feel my wrath!
If you allow Siegmeyer to sacrifice himself while you escape, then he will die with his honor intact. However, the only way for him to survive is if you shame him and save his life again.
But you, didn't you get away? Well, you saved me, once again. Oh, thank goodness. I'm exhausted.
This is the last time you'll see Siegmeyer alive.
So it does end there.
Have you seen my father? You wouldn't miss him. A suit of armor just like mine.
Sieglind is the daughter of Siegmeyer. She risks the perils of Lordran to tell her father his wife's dying words.
My daughter risked life and limb just to find me, to deliver her mother's last words. And the poor girl's not even undead. Heavens. I never asked her to do that.
It would seem that Siegmeyer abandoned his daughter and wife for a life of adventuring. It is clear that Siegmeyer cares for his daughter and her for him, but something has happened in their past that led to them being kept apart. After hearing his wife's dying words from the daughter who risked her life, he goes on his final, reckless adventure. Hollowing is a slow process, with the undead suffering many deaths before they hollow to a point of no return. The name Sieglind means gentle battle. I believe Sieglind has killed her father before, but only out of necessity.
If he goes hollow, I'll just have to kill him again.
Siegmeyer hollows completely at the end of his adventure.
Oh.
Yes. Now I see. You are one of the bad ones. Then there's only one thing to do with you.
That's it. That's really interesting, actually. So, if you allow him to live after that thing, stripping away his honor, he will eventually just completely go hollow.
Oh, how can this be, dear father?
Heavens, my dear little Lynn.
Wow. That's crazy. So full on goes hollow, and Sieglind kills him. So that's, I don't know.
Siegmeyer meets his end in Ash Lake, and there is nothing you can do to stop it.
What's the ending that I prefer? The one where he gives up his life for me, I think.
All hollow now. Has been subdued. He will cause no more trouble. It's finally over. Dear father. Dear father.
Yes. Use Hans Zimmer music in your Dark Souls story, so I get claimed on. Just enjoying the lovely Hans Zimmer soundtrack. We'll have to see how that goes. We can now move on to the Sisters of Chaos. So it's very interesting with Sigmai's story. Now, basically, he doesn't get a happy ending. No matter what. He either gets reunited with his daughter kills him because he goes hollow because we were robbing him of his honor every time we saved him. Or we allow him to sacrifice himself in Lost Izalith.
In the beginning, there was nothing, so the world was grey and lifeless. But then there was the first flame, which brought warmth, life, and light. But these things cannot exist alone, so there was also disparity, cold, death.
I think it does this intro quite a few times.
Always fear the flame, lest you be devoured by it and lose yourself.
The Sisters of Chaos.
Happen again.
It is the nature of fire to fade until only dark remains. But what if another flame was born? It could be a replica of the first to ward off the darkness. The Witch of Izalith was one of Lord Gwyn's last hopes. If she could replicate the first flame, then the god's power would never fade. It would have been better if she had never tried.
I have a favour to ask. My mother, the Witch of Izalith, was one of the primeval lords. Her power came from the soul that she found near the first flame. She focused this power to light a flame of her own. But she failed to control it. The flame of chaos engulfed Mother and my sisters and moulded them into deformed creatures.
Below us lies the ruins of the legendary city of Izalith. There, the molten giant watches over the flame of chaos. Our fair lady and Mistress Quelaag fled from the ruins. I do not know the details, and I do not ask.
That's Engi, the guy that we accidentally killed.
Something went wrong. She created a bed of life which would become the source of all demons. There were originally 7 daughters of chaos. The witch and 2 sisters were bound to the bed of chaos. The witch is trapped inside, and her 2 sisters became the orbs beside her. Quelaag and the fair lady were bound to giant spiders. One sister was corrupted and guards her mother. Another sister was sacrificed and is watched by her brother, who became a being of ceaseless discharge. Only Quelana remains.
And now I am here. But my mother and sisters have been in anguish since. I beseech you, free Mother and my sisters from the flame of chaos. I cannot do it myself. I lack the strength and the bravery. But you, I realize what I am asking. But please, free their poor souls.
Quelaag, a deformed daughter of Izalith. She escaped with her sister, and they fashioned a home at the base of Blighttown. The denizens of Blighttown were chosen as servants and food. But the fair lady felt for the suffering of her disfigured followers and sucked out their blight pus. She poisoned herself.
I'm so sorry, dear sister.
Ooh.
The fair lady started to die.
That's the voice.
At least she has her sister Quelaag.
That's her voice.
Promise me that you will take care of yourself.
Wild.
Quelaag kills everyone who enters her lair to gather the humanity that heals her dying sister. That is, until she is killed by the chosen undead. So, who will take care of her now that her sister is gone?
Please, sister, do not cry. I am happy, really. I have you. Don't I?
Oof. Oy.
Darkwraith Kirk, Knight of Thorns, has tricked Darkstalker Karth out of a red eye orb. He invades worlds to steal humanity to heal the fair lady, rather than give them to Karth.
Ah.
His actions reveal that not all Darkwraiths are evil. However, he is ultimately killed by the chosen undead, as his intentions are not understood until his corpse is found in the Fair Lady's company.
Okay.
Time in Lordran is convoluted. One undead may replace Quelag out of guilt. Another may choose to put the Fair Lady out of her misery.
Queen, but why?
Oops.
Why, you monster! The Fair Lady! What have you done? What have you done?
Wow, the way that this is cut together, the way that this gets cut together is incredible. So there's a lot of lore that we missed out on by killing Engi, and I could have just gone back and got absolution at that point, but I wasn't entirely thinking of that at the time, so that's a shame. We will now move into Lautrec, the Embraced.
Knight Lautrec looks out for himself. If we are to judge him, then we should count our own sins first. You who invades for humanity. You who kills simply because something is in your way, or because they have something important to you.
Oops.
Helm of Lautrec the Embraced, representing the goddess Fina's love. During his solitude, he forsook everything, for he believed in the goddess's love for him. Ring of Favor and Protection, granted by Fina, known in legend to possess fateful beauty. The ring breaks if ever removed. Armor of Lautrec the Embraced, representing the goddess Fina's love. The goddess's arms wrap around it, as if to embrace the wearer. The goddess Fina seems more sinister than you would expect from a goddess of love. She appears to a man who has forsaken everything, who will commit atrocities to serve. Her ring of protection breaks if you abandon her. The armor wraps its arms around you, clinging to the wearer. Is it a reminder of her love, or to remind you that you are hers? We know her love is faithful. If you're hers, you're well and truly a part of her design. Whatever goals she has are yours as well. So did Fina really love him deeply and personally? It's possible. Interactions between the gods and the humans are quite common. It's also possible that the man is simply within a religious delusion. We first encounter Knight Lautrec in a cell within the undead church. Why a church has a cell is a story in and of itself, as is the story of how Lautrec came to be trapped there. It could have something to do with the Firekeeper soul down below. Perhaps Oswald the Pardoner. Maybe both.
True, actually.
For if anyone is drenched in sin, it's Lautrec, and his desire for more humanity is clear. Even Patches speaks of it. It comes as no surprise, then, that Lautrec sets his sight on a harmless Firekeeper. Firekeepers are corporeal manifestations of the bonfires they keep. Their souls are a draw for humanity offered to the bonfire, and as such their souls are gnawed by infinite humanity. It's clear that this isn't a fate that the Firekeeper enjoys, since she expresses that she wishes for the curse of the undead to be lifted so that she may die as a human. Her tongue was cut out so she could not complain, and her blood-stained skirt implies that she was maimed so that she may not escape. Yet, despite this, she expresses a desire to fulfill her fate as a Firekeeper. To a man who desires humanity, whether for his goddess or for himself, a Firekeeper soul is quite a prize.
How did he get her? How did he get in there?
Lautrec escapes with the Firekeeper soul. Whether he desires it for himself as a trophy or for his goddess is unclear. Yet you and many other parallel undead track him down and invade his world.
So, here we go again. How many times will these lambs rush to slaughter?
Instant death.
Let's get it over with.
Parries Lautrec, decides not to go for the killing blow. Parries him again. Backstab. End the poor fool. There we go. Waiting for him to be the last one.
Whatever his designs were, whatever the goddess wanted, it died with him. So, is it worth restoring the Firekeeper, or will you give in to the same temptations as Lautrec? Who wants to go hollow, after all?
Interesting. Alright. That was Lautrec the Embraced. We got Rhea and more Way of the White Law, and then more coming up. Let's get into that now.
Those who are branded with the dark sign will live forever. But is eternal life a blessing or a curse? The theocracy in the land is based around the Way of White, which follows the will of Lord Gwyn. Serving under Gwyn are esteemed houses like the House of Thoroland. Think for a moment about what you know of churches that existed in medieval times. Churches seek control of all people in the name of God, and are conservative by nature. They fear change. One day, people become branded with eternal life. This would disrupt the balance, and naturally the church would fear this. But how to deal with it? Should you label it as a blessing and as the will of God? No. If this eternal life ended with people losing the will to live and becoming hollow, then why not label the dark sign as a curse? We don't know what made the dark sign, but the church made it evil. So, what happens if a member of the church becomes undead? To keep the Age of Fire going, bonfires can be fed humanity through the art of kindling. Hidden deep within the catacombs is rumoured to be a technique where bonfires can be fed to grow even stronger. The Way of White seeks this knowledge to better serve Lord Gwyn. The first undead member of the church was a paladin in golden armour. Equipped with legendary treasures, he set out on the first undead mission of the Way of White. A mission for the rite of kindling. From this point forth, all undead within the church are sent on this same mission. This serves two purposes. Firstly, if any undead succeeds in retrieving the rite, then the church will grow more powerful. Secondly, it doesn't matter if the mission ends in failure, because the church will have rid themselves of accursed undead. Rhea is a daughter of the House of Thoroland, which is inarguably the most prestigious religious family. However, she becomes undead, and even her high birth cannot save her from undergoing the undead mission. So Rhea is shipped to Lordran with two companions in a futile search for kindling. Upon arrival, Rhea meets Petrus. Petrus is an undead cleric who resides at Firelink Shrine. He guides undead on their mission, but there's more to this man than there seems. Your first clue comes from the items he has stashed under Firelink Shrine.
Oh,
comes from the Pardoner.
Those are his items.
Hast thou acquaintance with Petrus of Thurland? I wager you two had likely found much in common. For is he not too drenched in sin?
Shortly after they arrive, Rhea and her party disappear deep into the catacombs. For a while, the player will notice their absence from the game. Eventually, however, Petrus will return, and he returns alone.
Oh, you again? Me? I've become separated from my lady. I've scoured near and far, but no sight of her. Where could she have gone? My lady, to think I swore to protect you with my life.
He's lying. Petrus will gladly admit to his crimes if you discover the truth through Lautrec. Petrus reveals that he hates the lady for her high birth, but why did he abandon her? Perhaps he doesn't think she's worth it. Perhaps he is a coward. Or perhaps it is his job to ensure that undead never return from the catacombs.
Good day. You look reasonably sane. What are you doing in the catacombs? Are you a cleric or something?
Patches.
And her followers recently arrived in this land, but she became stranded deep below the catacombs. Her followers either fled or were reduced to hollows, leaving Maiden Thoroland all alone. Not a bad tip, huh? A Nubar cleric would be replete with humanity.
Lautrec suggests that you rob the helpless girl of her humanity.
Mm.
She is alone in a dark pit, surrounded by her hollow friends and no way of escape.
You're no hollow, are you? Thank goodness. Please be careful. There are 2 fierce hollows not far from here. They were once brave knights, my former escorts. Who would let such strong spirits be hollowed so? Heavens, is there nothing at all to be done?
Damn, Lautrec gives you a little bit of lore, hey?
Have you spoken with Sir Lautrec? Splendid. In the depths of the catacombs, Milady slipped off the giant's coffin and into a hole. Her 2 companions are no longer human, and the lass weeps in solitude. Right now, you could do as you please with her. The poor little purebred is entirely helpless.
You banished those 2 hollows, did you? It pains me to think of the trouble my failings have caused. I am certain that both Vince and Nico are grateful to you. Thank you so very much.
Oh, it's you. You rescued Milady. Well, a pity that is, for it will amount to nothing, for the little madam is not worth her salt without her family name.
Dude is an asshole.
After everything, you find Rhea alone praying in the church.
Dear Vince, dear Nico, forgive me. I have lost all those who were close to me. Perhaps Petrus realized my weakness all along and thus made the decision to abandon me. I can hardly blame him now. If I do go hollow, then finish me off. I beg of you.
This is where the path splits, but both paths end in death. If you do not kill Petrus for abandoning Rhea, then Rhea will die. Petrus plays innocent, but if you kill him after her death, you will find her ivory talisman upon his person. Perhaps Petrus kills Rhea to keep her quiet. Perhaps he hates her high birth. Or perhaps disposing of undead is his job.
Damn, they're even showing it, dude.
Kill Petrus for abandoning Rhea, then she will not be assassinated.
And then we kill him too.
By the lords! You damned fool! Enough of you! Feel the wrath of the gods!
Fool! What were you thinking? Too bad for you. I'm a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Get fucked, Petrus. You dickhead.
Driven to madness by emotion? So be it. You'll make a fine hollow. You can waltz in the infernal depths together.
No. This can't be. It can't end like this.
If an undead has a purpose, then they will not hollow. Rhea will teach you miracles in the church until she has nothing left to teach you. Shortly after, she loses the will to go on.
Damn.
But she continues to pray. Rhea is a highborn girl who becomes undead. She no longer has a place in her homeland, and is cast away to be forgotten. She does her best, but fails to find the secret of kindling. Betrayed by a man who hates her for a high birth. Tricked by Patches. Lusted after by Lautrec. And responsible for the death of her friends. She is rescued by you, the only one in Lordran who gives her mercy. She repays you with miracles, but she soon teaches you all that she knows and is of no use. And there are eyes watching. Channels are the eyes of Seath, and can be found in many lands. One of them frequents the undead church. While their motives are largely uncertain, it's known that Seath captures maidens for his experiments.
Dude.
Channeler spies Rhea as she prays, and takes her to a cell in the archives. And that is where Rhea hollows, and spends the rest of her days.
Damn! So is that like, if you don't kill the six-eyed channeler, this is what happens to Rhea?
If I do go hollow, then finish me off. I beg of you.
What? Dude. So if you, like, kill Petrus so Petrus can't kill her, she will end up here. Wow.
Life originates in the soul, which exists in solid and loose forms. Stronger beings have their souls held together in unicity, infusing their unique personality and power. When the body is broken, the link to these souls is severed, exposing the solid soul to the air. When exposed, souls burn like they are on fire. It makes sense then that the 4 Lord Souls were found within the first flame. They were the fuel. But if the soul is the source of all life, then what distinguishes the humanity we hold within ourselves? The truth is, even humanity originates from the soul. It's simply a fragment of the dark soul. The mysteries of souls, crystals, and sorceries are deeply intertwined. The more you understand these things, the more control you have over them. Soul sorcery is the art of controlling soul power with knowledge, just like we manipulate fire with heart and instinct, and miracles through faith. The Dragon School of Vinheim teaches and researches sorcery. The great hero of Vinheim is Big Hat Logan, a great sorcerer and teacher to many students. In time, however, he tired from the attention of others and donned a large hat to hide his face, earning him his nickname. Locked away in a cage in Sen's fortress, we first encounter Big Hat Logan.
I have a bright idea. Suppose you set me free. I'm old and empty-handed, but I could repay you with knowledge and sorcery. This place is melting my mind. The inactivity is repressive. I'm saved, and I'd love to resume my travels, but I must log a few things first, and I owe you a favor.
Back at Firelink Shrine, Logan treats you like an equal, and offers to teach you all that he knows.
Glad to see you alive. As promised, I will share my sorceries. You really are very diligent.
On your journey, you'll find another sorcerer from Vinheim. Once rescued, Griggs joins you at Firelink Shrine as another sorcerer who's in your debt. On the topic of Logan, he says this.
He is a true hero. No, the reason I seek Logan is, well, it's really my own conceit now, isn't it?
This sorcerer of Vinheim seeks Logan simply to prove that he can. It's clear that he admires the man and strives to be like him. After you've proven your worth as a student and learned everything that Logan has to teach, Logan mentions that he has plans to leave. As to where, that's unknown.
Heading out, are you? I too will leave soon. Undead or no, I shan't stay here forever. You have great potential. Don't go and die over nothing.
With his debt repaid, Logan leaves Firelink. He tells you his plans, but he doesn't tell Griggs, who is left in the dark again.
Oh, there you are. Just so you know, Master Logan has left on his own again. It seems that he is still determined to find the famed regal archives in Anor Londo. I intend to search for him.
And this is the last you'll ever hear of Griggs. Hope that you never see him again. Sorcery is enhanced by understanding and knowledge.
Interesting.
That's why Logan seeks the Archives, a place built for Seath the Scaleless, as reward for his help against the everlasting dragons. The knowledge contained there is beyond measure. Seath was born different from his brothers, who were encased in stone scales that made them immortal.
Seath was just built different, man.
Dragon who didn't have the immortality his brothers possessed. Driven by jealousy, he betrayed their secrets, and soon after, driven by desperation, he began the search for immortality. Seath created six-eyed channelers to be his eyes, scouring the archives and other lands for knowledge. He created crystal golems to retrieve trinkets and maidens for his experiments. He does all this, knowing that time is running out. Logan once taught you that life originates in the soul. That's why a crystal-homing soul mass draws towards it. Somehow, crystals are linked to the soul, and so, through the power of crystals, Seath finally finds what he's been looking for.
Ah. The secret of Seath's immortality. If you have fought him and were in prison, you must know that Seath is a true undead, different from ourselves. His wounds close promptly, and no mortal blow affects him, granting true insulation from death. It is an effect of the primordial crystal, a sacred treasure pillaged by Seath when he turned upon the ancient dragons. So only by destroying the primordial crystal can you so much as scratch his hide.
Seath's knowledge comes at a price. He finds a source of immortality and hides it away, but something changes. The other lords notice. Seath locks himself away in his archives and stations 2 armored boars in the hallways. Channelers guard the stairways and crystal hollows are scattered throughout. On top of all that, the archives now lead anyone strong enough to a chamber with Seath himself inside. Upon your death, Seath locks you in a cell with a bonfire, knowing that you'll be locked into a cycle within that cell.
Oh, those souls!
It's almost like he knew you were coming. But you escape and roam the archives freely. This is where you encounter Logan again. But he's not the same.
Oh, there you are. It's been a while. Or were you just here? This fascinating place defeats my sense of time. But I can't remember the death of the undead.
Ozzy Osbourne.
That unsettled Seath is affecting Logan. There's some things in the archives that should remain unknown. For the path to true knowledge is cursed, and the fate of the 3 sorcerers in Lordran is something that should be forgotten. The less that is known, the better.
Wild. We spared Logan from death. But yeah, interesting that it looks like if you free Griggs much earlier and then Logan goes to leave, Griggs will go after him and then turn hollow, I think, from what it showed in that you pray you don't find him again. Which is crazy. Let's do the Heroes of Firelink, and then we've got a few more to go. Velka and the Crow will be last, which is prepare to why instead of prepare to cry.
What turns an undead into a hollow? Is it the passing centuries in a never-ending life? The experience of dying hundreds of times? Or is it those things, coupled with a loss of hope?
Crestfallen warrior.
Firelink is often the last place the heroes visit before they hollow. It's the gateway to many dangerous places. Most undead in Lordran have a purpose that they strive towards before hollowing. However, there is one who is content to wait until his sanity slips away. The apathy of this man is kept within Firelink Shrine, where he simply watches. Heroes come and go, some never return, and he remains. At least nothing will bother him once he goes hollow.
Oi, did you see him? Big Hat Logan, the legendary sorcerer, in the flesh. This place is simply mad. Legendary heroes popping up left and right. They're making me feel quite inadequate, to be honest. Oh, have you seen that terribly morose lass, the Firekeeper? She's stuck keeping that bonfire lit. Sad, really. She's mute and bound to this forsaken place. How did that silly sorcerer's apprentice end up? You know, the one always prattling on about Master Logan. He left for the Undead Burg, but never came back. Serves him right. If even old Big Hat can't make it out there, what chance does he have? I hope he enjoys his new life as a hollow. How did that raggedy old chum end up? You know, the one who idolized some godmother of pyromancy.
God damn.
He left for Blighttown, but never came back. Did you hear about the maiden? The virtuous lass came.
Did you ever hear about the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
Die? Or was she abandoned? Who knows? But I suppose we've heard the last from Milady.
Wow.
Did you ring the second bell? That is incredible, I must say. But now we have a new problem. It's noisy, it snores, and its breath is lethal. I was really beginning to like it here. Maybe it's time I do something about it. Well, what are you going to do? I've already decided. I don't really care. I'm simply crestfallen.
Wow. So he recounts all of the NPC. He recounts all of the NPC stuff that's going on, and then he's like, "All right, see you later. Time to go hollow because everyone's better than me." nice little brief one about poor old crestfallen warrior. Which ending is the good ending? As we know, there are two endings now. There is something about the Age of Fire and the Age of Dark, which fully relates to, I guess, which serpent you go through is what I've been able to gather.
Most AAA titles these days are pretty predictable. You have the hero, the villain, the polite dialogue choice, the rude dialogue choice, the bad guys, the good guys, and all the meaningless choices along the way. If you're watching my videos, then you should already know that Dark Souls...
Mass Effect roast!
Most games either have one canon ending or allow you to choose from a selection of moral minefield endings at the end of the game. Dark Souls is the latter, but the endings are ambiguous as hell. The more you learn about the game, the more confusing the endings become. Most games give you closure, but both Dark Souls endings probably leave you wondering what would happen next. What consequence would my choice have in the game world? The first ending we'll analyze is the Link the Fire ending. You sacrifice your body and soul as fuel for the first flame, which keeps the gods in power. We'll call this the Light ending. Your other choice is letting the flame die out, allowing you to become the Dark Lord and ushering in the Age of Man. Let's call this the Dark ending. Now, this video assumes you have some idea of what's going on in the Dark Souls universe. If you don't, I have a Dark Souls lore in a minute video you could watch, or you could brush up on the fundamentals presented by Epic Namebro. To properly understand the endings, you must understand what makes them significant. In the beginning, the 4 Lord Souls were found within the first flame. Gwyn obtained the Light Soul and ushered in an Age of Fire based around that first flame. This Age of Fire meant that the gods and the lords were in control of the world, ruling over humanity. They lit bonfires from the first flame and shepherded the humans. But where did the humans come from? Well, it's my theory that humanity is spawned from the fragments of the Dark Soul. As humanity split and grew, the dark began to overcome the light. This concept of disparity plays a huge role in the game. As the first flame faded, the light faded, and as the light faded, the power of Gwyn and the Age of Fire faded. As the gods started to lose their power, they began to recognize the threat that humanity could pose. It seems the gods couldn't decide what to make of humanity. In the dialogues of Kiaran and Goff, we see some of this uncertainty. If you aid them, they decide that humans aren't so bad after all. But if you slight them, then they treat you with that built-up resentment.
So this is true human nature.
No, Hawkeye!
The flame continues to fade. The gods abandon Anor Londo, and the remaining gods use illusions to preserve their power. Gwyn, holder of the Light Soul, goes to the kiln of the first flame and offers himself as fuel. He sacrifices himself to let the flame burn a little longer. This buys the gods a bit more time to find a solution to their problem. You are that solution. By linking the fire, you become the fuel for the first flame. With you in Gwyn's place, the Age of Fire can continue. But what makes you so special? Well, the character is a very powerful undead if they can make it all the way to Gwyn, and it follows that the more powerful you are, the longer you will burn. It could be that this is why Frampt is trying to push undead towards Gwyn. He is trying to find the one who will burn the longest. So by burning in Gwyn's place, you have to ask yourself what purpose it serves. You're preserving the reign of the gods and rising to the needs of a dying hierarchy. It's not even a temporary solution. Gwyn was powerful enough to take out the immortal dragons, and even he became a husk by the end. So while you could see linking the flame as a selfless act, it's hard to imagine that you're doing it for any greater purpose. Indeed, if you link the flame, you are rising to the needs of people who could simply be using you.
Yeah.
So, is this the good ending? At first glance, it seems like it. Most players go through the game only meeting the serpent Frampt, who promises that linking the flame will undo the curse of the undead. He talks of fate and gives you purpose. So at first, I thought this was the right thing to do. I didn't know that Anor Londo and Guinevere were illusions. I didn't know I was being used, and I thought I was being selfless. But then I heard what Karth had to say. He says that after the advent of fire, the ancient lords found 3 souls, but your progenitor found the Dark Soul, and waited for fire to subside. He says that with the fading flame comes the Age of Man. He paints Gwyn as a god who resisted the course of nature, and says that you are being manipulated by Frampt to keep Gwyn's Age of Fire going. By killing Gwyn and walking away from the first flame, Karth promises that the dark will finally come, and with it, the Age of Man will begin. At first, I thought that Karth's hidden dialogue was the truth. It makes sense. When you realize that Frampt is manipulating you, you feel like you should believe everything Karth has to say.
But Karth manipulated
like Karth is telling the whole truth.
Ulasil.
But is he telling the whole truth? Is the darkness really a place where humans can thrive? Humans are born from the dark soul, that much is true. The Black Humanity sprite is proof of that. But when we journey back to see what happened in Ulasil, we realize how dangerous the dark is to humans. Ulasil was once a human city, overrun by the dark. These are its residents, and this is the fate of the humans who come into contact with the dark. This is the age of man that Karth promises. One serpent tells you lies, and the other tells you truth. Both of them are manipulating you. If you link the fire, you are sacrificing yourself so that Frampt and Gwyndolin can rule with the illusion of power in Anor Londo. If you let the flame fade, the age of dark will come. But is this a place where humans thrive? No, Ulasil is proof of that. In the end, it doesn't matter what you do. If you link the flame, you're just delaying the inevitable. If you let the flame fade, the darkness comes a little sooner, with you at the helm. The one canon ending to Dark Souls.
No way to win.
Prologue. One day the flame will fade, and only dark will remain. So instead of choosing an ending, just go and live with Priscilla or something.
Go and live with Priscilla or something. Go and live in the painted world where apparently everything is filled with kindness, right? The tip is to not finish the game, guys. Don't finish the game. Because it's tragic. Velka and the Crow. Prepare to Y.
Why does the Crow take the chosen undead to Lordran? Oscar speaks of a prophecy in which the chosen undead must escape the asylum. It's easy to say that the Crow is just a meaningless method of transport, but perhaps the story is deeper than that. Gargoyles guard the Bell of Awakening, bat demons take you from Sen's Fortress to Anor Londo, and snake men are used as guards. The lords seem to have the ability to make beasts do their bidding. There is one goddess in particular who has a powerful link with crows. Velka. In Japanese mythology, crows are messengers from the gods, symbolizing divine intervention and guidance on human affairs. The crow takes you to Lordran, where you become manipulated by the gods. So if we assume that Velka is linked to the giant crow, or is the crow, we have to ask, why would she want powerful undead to escape the asylum? Velka is the goddess of sin. It's worth noting that she doesn't have a lord soul, but is an actual goddess. She does not just punish humans, she has a great degree of influence where the gods are concerned, and the lords fear her. Everything related to Velka, and everything that the lords fear, is locked away in the painted world of Ariamis. In the painted world, there are hundreds of crows. There are the crow people of Velka, there is the equipment of Velka's partners, and there are the spells used by her order. Most importantly, however, the painted world holds everything that the lords fear. It holds the occult Ember and the half-dragon Priscilla, both of which are lethal to the lords. So with all this information, we are left guessing the allegiance of Velka. Why is she taking undead from the asylum to Lordran? The Vow of Silence miracle describes Velka as a rogue deity, suggesting she has no allegiance save the hunting down of sinners. Perhaps by taking you to Lordran, she is unleashing you upon the gods for their sins. The chosen undead certainly is a nightmare for any gods he encounters, attacking them relentlessly until he succeeds, not even letting death stop him. I think having someone unkillable come at you over and over again is pretty good punishment. Perhaps Velka is on Gwyndolin's side. Gwyndolin is the leader of the Dark Moons, who hunt down sinners inside Velka's Book of the Guilty. Gwyndolin wants to find worthy undead to link the flame, and Velka could simply be a part of that since she chooses powerful undead from the asylum through her crow. Interpretation number 3 is your own interpretation. I can't say I'm right and I can't say you're wrong, because the game is open-ended and it's fun to speculate. So based on this information, do you think Velka has a hidden role in the plot? Is she playing her hand from behind the scenes? why.
Prepare to why. Interesting. Okay, there you go. And here's the Prepare to Cry Remastered series that we apparently cannot watch because those were created after other games had come out. So we will ignore those. But there you go. That was the lore reaction in the Dark Souls story with Vati Vidya. Very, very interesting information getting revealed there. It seems like it might be a mixture of like speculation and filling in some gaps, as well as informed knowledge on the world and story of Dark Souls, which is really, really cool to get more information. But it was just like slightly additional stuff. I feel like if I went through the game not looking at items, not actually observing things and getting told this information, I'd be like, where the fuck was this? So it's good that I was actually kind of keeping up with all of this throughout the game, and then this is like more explanation and clarification on certain things, which I really appreciate. So I'm glad that I played the playthrough the way that I did. I'm really glad that I got the advice before starting the playthrough to check item descriptions and that sort of thing. That really helped me out. So guys, this was the bonus episode of Dark Souls where New Game Plus messed around, got the Rite of Kindling early, realizing the hard way that it is actually quite incredibly difficult to get out of the catacombs. After doing that, I did get out of the catacombs, by the way. I kind of was like walking through and I went, oh, this is actually going to be hard. It took me a little while to get out, lost quite a few souls. So even on New Game Plus, it's possible to really mess things up. But I got back to Firelink Shrine and I can enjoy my own New Game Plus playthrough with this lore in mind, which is going to be great. So guys, thank you so much for coming along this series. This has been one of the most wonderful and surprising experiences I've done, and definitely one of the best games that I've played, and the lore is incredible. You just have to, look a little deeper to get that information. Dark Souls 2 will be next, despite the frequent wars and arguments in the comments about which one should come first. I am playing in release order. I am playing the way that most people would have experienced the series. They would have played Dark Souls, and then they would have played Dark Souls 2. They wouldn't have skipped it for Dark Souls 3 because it wasn't out at the time. So that is the plan. The plan is release order of the Souls games. So it will be Dark Souls 2 next. There will also be Bloodborne. Then there will be Dark Souls 3. Then there will be Sekiro, and then eventually there will be Elden Ring. If we ever get to that point. There will also be the Demon's Souls remake for PS5 before Elden Ring. The only reason why I've pushed that one out, even though it was technically the first game for PS3, is I feel like if I play a PS5 game that's like fresh and like revamped for like this current generation, it would kind of like spoil it to go back to like an older game. Like imagine if I played Demon's Souls PS5 first and then went to Dark Souls and then worked my way through that. I'd be like, all of the good quality of life changes, or like, how everything feels would be weird, and I get spoiled with the graphics, I think. So release order is the way to go. So when I do come back to the series, it will be Dark Souls 2. So thank you so much for this playthrough. I hope to see you return in the next one when it comes onto the channel. I will see you then.